Welcome back to Gunners.
Thanks. Hey, we're here at Gunners with Maggie. Good to see you, Maggie.
Hey, everybody. Nice to be back.
Absolutely. It's always fun to be here, too.
Well, it's the gun store. This should be a happy place.
Right. Hey, speaking of a happy place at the gun store, something that we've talked about over, gosh, I'd say the last 15, 20 years maybe, is that every time, well, how do I even put this? Okay. The trend in gun sales goes up and down dramatically based on who is sitting in the White House.
Oh, doesn't it though?
And I remember when I first started this channel that Obama was the president. And it just like the channel grew and grew and grew and grew. And as soon as there was the election and it changed, suddenly like views went down, but even talking to you, like sales went down, and then it changed again, and all of a sudden sales went up.
And your view counts go back up.
Because it's almost like if people are afraid of what the president's going to do to their guns, they decide whether or not to go buy guns.
Yes, that's exactly it. And we did see an uptick about 2 weeks before the election in sales. And we started moving more products. We started getting more products in to move it. And then as soon as the election hit, the results were in. It's time to sell. Yeah. So they're selling off parts of the collection. And when you're going to sell parts of your collection, when everybody else is doing the same thing at the same time, and that is the trend that keeps, it's a cyclical trend. So you will get someone in office, or you will get a large media coverage on a firearm related event. Usually they're not good, but just bad press. It's still press, and the bad press sells more than the good press does.
So we talked about in a different video that, because I've said this to my wife, because she's stressed out about things going on in the world over the last year, that if you just put down the news and you put down your phone and you just look at what's in front of you, nothing has really changed. So I always find it peculiar that if for some reason there's a different guy in an office, I don't know, what is that, 8 states away from Missouri, how, like, am I, like, suddenly I don't need a gun? Like, you see, like, suddenly I don't need to defend myself? So I always found that, or if there's a different guy there, then now I actually need more guns, because now for some reason my life is bigger at risk. Because I understand the concept that if you're thinking, well, there's a certain gun that I think this guy might make illegal, so I'm going to go buy that thing. You know, I get the concept of that, but it was really, we saw the opposite. Like if there was a certain president who was going to ban a certain guns, everybody started getting rid of them. Like, so I'm not really sure I understand how this works. I
would love to have some rhyme or reason. So when we see more guns coming into the store, when the manufacturers have created a lot of guns, as they do every 4 and 8 years, as they prepare for a cyclical change in government officials, rules, and things like that, they stockpile firearms too. And so now, after an election, when you are sitting on things that didn't sell, this is November, and you were expecting to sell all that, and now you have to make room in those warehouses for everything that's going to roll out brand new for 2025, because everybody went to the SHOT Show, and the SHOT Show releases are coming out, and those warehouses need to make room for those pallets of merchandise, that the new stuff that's coming in. So they're pushing out the old stuff at cheap prices. They were expecting to sell it at full price before the election. Well, the bottom dropped out of the market. The official that they were betting on didn't get in. Prices went out, you know, and nobody's buying because nobody's panicking. And then that's driving down the prices on all the guns because people feel safe and they're like, well, maybe I don't need 12 ARs and I can drop it down. Now, maybe I don't need 2 ARs and maybe I can just keep one and sell the other. And when the prices were way high, sky high, because you had a global pandemic, you'd just gone through a regime change, and the new administration was not as friendly to firearms as the old one was. So yeah, you kind of had this panic buy where everything disappeared and was hard to recoup on the shelf. So yeah, you have to look at what's going on globally, what's going on locally. That's going to affect the market.
Well, let me ask this, because the phenomenon I find so interesting is just how, like you were saying, how slow it is now. You know, like this time last year was very busy, but now it's slow because we have this regime change. I don't like. So I'm just going to talk about myself for a second. I just want to relate it to the common customer. So I've never in my life thought, oh, there's this gun I want, but I'm not going to buy it because of who the president is. And I've never thought to myself, well, I'm not going to buy a gun because of who the president is, or I'm going to buy a gun because of, or I need another one because of who the president is, or I need to get rid of this because of who the president is. Like, that has never even entered my mind. But as, you know, we've talked over the years, if not the decades,
there's a mindset.
That's a mindset. Like, that's a real thing.
For some people, that is a mindset. And I'm not sure where it came from or why it's there. I'm not here to hate, shame, or anything on it, but it is what it is. And you deal with it, you move on. You help the people as best as you can. But like we've talked about before, you're always going to disappoint somebody. They're going to be disappointed in the offer that you were hoping to get $500 out of this item, and you're only being offered $200 or maybe $250 on it. And how come they won't meet you halfway on that? Or how come they won't just even out trade for it?
Well, let me ask this. How often do you run into people that are making decisions on gun purchases or selling a gun? Or how often do you run into people that are making that decision based on what is going on in the election?
Daily.
Daily.
It's daily. But here's the thing. I don't always have conversations that involve politics with individuals, so most
of the time we don't talk about that at all.
No,
actually. That's not a common conversation.
I'm really not certain if some of these people are politically driven for their purchases or the reason to sell, but I am certain that for some people that is definitely one of their, it's something that's been on their mind about it. Yeah, I'll get rid of it because, or I should acquire something because of this presidency or because of what's going on in the world at this time. I hear on the daily, it's a really weird world out there. It's a bad world out there. It's a good world out there. It's a really strange world out there. I've heard it all. Every day I hear everything. So, I mean, it just...
Because I've always noticed, because I figure, I kind of consider myself a gun guy, and I'm always exactly the opposite of whatever the trend is.
That's probably smart.
I'm always if everybody's making a rush on ammo, I don't want any ammo.
Yeah.
If everybody's selling this gun, I kind of don't want it or now I want one, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If everybody's I always feel like I'm on the opposite of the trend, and I always find that strange.
No, that's kind of the smart thing to do. That's just like in the stock market. You buy and acquire when the market price is low, and you sell when the market price is high. In the firearms industry, a lot of us, because I'm going to say I've done the same thing too, individuals will fall prey to that buying in times when the prices are high and then going, when the prices are low, I really don't need it. Maybe I'd think about letting that one go or something like that.
You think it's more like a panic thing? Because I remember one time walking into your store, during the pandemic when everybody was panic buying guns. And I literally walked in and I think I looked at you and I probably said, I'll see you in a couple months.
Yes.
And I turned around and I just walked. I was like,
I'm
not doing none of this.
You walked right
I'll see you in a few months, Maggie.
Yes, that's exactly. You were like, I don't want any part of this circus. No, yeah. I'm good. I'm done. I'll be back when it's calm.
And I don't know if it's like, because even like there's always been the seasonal trend, like it's slow in the summer, busy in the winter. I always found myself frequenting gun stores more in the summer, so I don't know.
Because that is when you will find.
Well, I was also a teacher forever too, in all
right?
fairness.
So you have more time to yourself during those summer months, or when you have vacation. You're not chained to a desk, rather. But yeah, you go out. And that's the time to buy, too, because people are selling things that they don't want to fund things that they do want. And in the summertime, I tease all the time. We see it. It's like, I want to go on vacation. It's time for fishing equipment, boating equipment, vacations with the kids and everything. And the first thing that gets sold is, well, I can dispose of a couple guns for cash.